Nelson Mandela, from prisoner to president. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. Many people would come out angry, broken, and full of hate. But Mandela came out with forgiveness. And that decision changed an entire country forever. This is the true story of Nelson Mandela. Early life. Nelson Rolihlahla. Mandela was born in 1918 in a small village in South Africa. His name Rolihlahla means troublemaker in his language. And one day he truly would become a troublemaker. Not with violence, but with ideas. As a young man, Mandela studied law. He believed deeply in justice, equality, and human dignity, but the country he lived in was deeply divided. Apartheid, a broken system. South Africa was ruled by a system called apartheid. Apartheid separated people by race. Black people had fewer rights. They could not vote freely, they could not live where they wanted, they were treated as second-class citizens in their own land. Mandela could not accept this. He joined the African National Congress, a movement fighting for equality. At first, Mandela believed in peaceful protest, but the government responded with violence, arrests, and killings. Arrest and prison. In 1962, Nelson Mandela was arrested. 2 years later, he was sentenced to life in prison. He was sent to Robben Island, a cold and isolated prison. His cell was tiny, he slept on the floor. He was forced to do hard labor. For 27 long years, Mandela lived behind bars. The government believed prison would silence him. Instead, it made him stronger. The long years of imprisonment. Mandela was offered freedom many times, but only if he gave up his beliefs. He refused. He once said, "I cannot sell my freedom, I cannot sell my people." In prison, Mandela studied. He learned patience, he learned discipline, and most importantly, he learned self-control. He understood something powerful. Hate destroys the hater first. Freedom at last. In 1990, after global pressure and internal unrest, the government finally released Nelson Mandela. He walked out of prison not as a criminal, but as a hero. The world was watching. Many expected revenge, many expected anger, but Mandela surprised everyone. Forgiveness over revenge. Instead of calling for violence, Mandela called for peace. Instead of hatred, he offered reconciliation. He said South Africa belonged to everyone, black and white. This decision was extremely risky, but it worked. Mandela negotiated with his former enemies. Together, they ended apartheid. President of South Africa. In 1994, South Africa held its first free democratic election. Nelson Mandela became the country's first black president. A man who had been imprisoned for nearly 3 decades now led the nation. As president, Mandela focused on unity, healing, forgiveness. He served only 1 term, then stepped down peacefully. Power was never his goal. Justice was. Legacy. Nelson Mandela became a symbol, not only for Africa, but for the entire world. He proved that forgiveness is stronger than hate, patience is stronger than anger, peace is stronger than violence. Mandela passed away in 2013, but his message lives on. Ending/message. Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done. From prisoner, to president, to global icon." That is why Nelson Mandela will never be forgotten.